We obviously on the day of and the day after the sentencing of Michael Vick, there's been a lot of questions as to how does this impact what we're going to do here in the state of Georgia with our attempt to strengthen our dogfighting laws. So I wanted the opportunity to address this all at once. There's not a lot of change in what our plan is, but just wanted to kind of give you an update on where we are. First of all, let me say that the situation involving Michael Vick is a very sad one, and from all accounts, he seems remorseful. He has made a serious mistake and is now paying the price. It is my hope that at some point Michael Vick will actually become a spokesperson for helping to stop dogfighting across our country. I think he now understands the seriousness of it, and unlike maybe some others, I hope that there's a day again that we'll see Michael Vick on the football field and that he will be a champion for this cause of stopping dogfighting and tell the young people that look up to him that this is something serious, it is dangerous, and don't ever get involved with it. I think that is the best that could come out of this situation for him personally. I'm very sorry to see what has happened to him on a personal level. But with that tragedy comes opportunities, and the opportunity we have is to take this awareness that has been created for the horrific act of dogfighting and let people know that in Georgia, unfortunately, because of lack of good laws, we have become a haven for this. And that what happened in Virginia, in that particular case with Michael Vick, is happening all across our state often. I can't say every day, but quite often. And we want to take this opportunity of this raised awareness among the public as to how dangerous this is and the criminal activity that surrounds it and use that to our benefit. And so that's what we're going to do. Of course, I've been working on dogfighting for a number of years, and I think we're finally at the point where we have not only the legislative support, but the public support behind it because of the awareness that has been created out of this Michael Vick situation, that we're going to be able to press this bill forward. As you know, Senate Bill 16 passed the Senate unanimously last year, 54-0, and it now sits in the House Judiciary Committee. Just to give you an update on what I expect the legislative process will be for that, I have spoken to the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, and he has told me that this bill will be addressed in one of the first couple of meetings, so we would anticipate immediately upon returning to session that this bill will be addressed in committee. I've spoken to the Speaker of the House and let him know of our intention to bring this bill out to the floor as quickly as possible, and he didn't seem to have any problem with that. So I can't predict exactly what the legislative process will be, but it is our intention that this bill would move out as quickly as possible and that there won't need to be any more changes on the Senate side, and we can send this to the governor's desk sometime during the month of January. One of the changes that in the current bill that we'll probably look at doing is changing some of the financial penalties. Currently, the state statute references a $5,000 fine or up to a $5,000 fine. One of the things that the public is now aware of that we have learned over the last 2 years is that some of these dogfights can have purses up to $25,000 and $30,000. So if you're only going to fine the person if they were caught and convicted $5,000, and they could potentially win $20,000 or $30,000, as you can see, it may be a good risk on the person involved in this type of activity to go ahead and do it. We want to take that risk away, and we want that penalty to be severe. So we're looking at changing the amount of money that a person could be fined if they're caught in violation of our dogfighting laws. Just an update on where we are with the House members. A lot of people that support this bill have been going individually to House members and getting commitments that they, in fact, will support Senate Bill 16 once it gets to the floor. I don't have a specific number for you this morning on how many people have committed, but I can tell you it's in the dozens. Probably at least 30, maybe less than 50, but around 30 to 50 commitments from House members that they, in fact, will vote for this once it gets to the floor. Of course, as you know, country music legend Willie Nelson has been kind enough to do a PSA for us, and I hope all of my friends in the media will do what they can to influence their local radio and TV stations to run that PSA. And again, Willie's efforts is simply to bring awareness to how bad the problem is in Georgia. I want to briefly mention one of the leaders on this has been Sheriff Butch Conway out of Gwinnett County, who took a step forward in really a situation that's very unique among law enforcement. Actually has put up his own money for rewards leading to the arrest and conviction of people involved in dogfighting in Gwinnett County. He has been a fantastic spokesman for this cause, and he is leading the way in Gwinnett County, and I'm sure he'll be happy to answer any questions here in a moment. And in addition to that, the Georgia Sheriff's Association, as you know, this past summer agreed to also institute a reward for people caught and convicted for dogfighting, and I have a letter from the Georgia Sheriff's Association today with their full endorsement and support of Senate Bill 16. Tommy Irvin, the Agriculture Commissioner, who's been involved in this process since the beginning, has given us a letter of endorsement. He fully supports our efforts. The GBI fully supports our efforts. We have had endorsements from law enforcement all across, not just Metro Atlanta, but across the state. And this is, let me be very clear about this, a law enforcement bill. We were very careful to make sure that nowhere in this process did we do anything that would interfere in any way whatsoever with hunting, the practice of hunting. With respect to that, this year we have also hired a lobbyist, Mo Thrash, and he'll be happy to answer any questions. And Mo, of course, is well respected in the hunting community himself, as he'll probably proclaim as one of the best hunters in Georgia. But he also understands how dangerous dogfighting is, and that these two issues are completely and totally separate. And we have done all we can over the last 3 years to make sure that they remain that way, that one does not encroach upon the other. And that's why we want to stamp out dogfighting with literally no impact for hunters. So with that, I'll be glad to answer any more questions. Sheriff Conway or Mr. Thrash would be happy to answer questions as well. We're still looking at that, but probably in the $20,000 to $25,000 range. You know, we would, of course, leave that leeway to the judge to raise it up to that point. But again, I think it highlights, some people don't know, they're actually shocked when I tell them that, you know, you can go to a dogfight where the top prize is $30,000. And I think most people, and I was certainly clueless to that fact a number of years ago, that this is a big money event. And there's a lot of criminal money involved in that as well.
Just to give a comparison, what's the current law? What are the weaknesses in the current law versus what you're trying to address?
Thank you, Dennis. The current law, if you talk to prosecutors, essentially means you would have to catch somebody in the act of dogfighting. Now, when we went through this process last year, we checked with all law enforcement in our jails to determine if there was anybody in jail on those dogfighting charges anywhere across the state of Georgia, and at that time there was not. And that kind of highlighted the weakness of our current law, is that you almost had to catch somebody in the act. What this bill will do is essentially criminalize the entire industry of dogfighting, so that if you are knowingly raising dogs, training dogs, selling dogs, transporting dogs for the purpose of dogfighting, or if you're hosting a dogfighting event or promoting a dogfighting event, you would be guilty of a felony. So what we want to do is say that if you are actively involved in this industry of dogfighting, you will be in violation of the law, so that we can go after everybody that's involved in it, not just someone who happens to be on the scene. And one of the problems, of course, is for law enforcement, if they were to come upon a dogfight, is no one is going to claim ownership of that dog. So it's very difficult to pin it on a single person if no one can claim ownership. Absolutely. Under current law, Michael Vick would not have been charged and could not have been charged in the state of Georgia, because, as I understand it, state laws in Virginia pertain to him hosting a dog event, promoting a dog event. But in Georgia, of course, that's not illegal. You would have to be actively involved in the dogfight itself. So we would not have been able to prosecute Michael Vick under state charges here. The federal charges would, of course, still stand.
As far as the penalties are concerned, you talked about raising fines. What would the prison terms be?
Well, the prison term now, we're probably going to keep it the same, and it is up to 5 years. Now, the proposal also has a second offense up to 10 years. So, you know, if you were caught for a second time involved in this, the penalty would be much stiffer. But we do want to also go after that monetary penalty as well, because when you look at the $5,000 fine in conjunction of what these dog fights are actually raising, they don't really mesh out. So we want to make sure that there is a serious financial penalty.
Who's paying your lobbyist fees?
Well, I'm not the person who hired him, so you'll have to ask. You'll have to ask.
Who did hire him?
I have no idea. You'll have to ask Mo. They're not. Let me be real clear. They're not paying me anything. That is a great question. It does criminalize attendance for adults. Obviously, if you bring a child, you wouldn't prosecute the child for knowingly attending the dogfight. If you just happen to be in an area where a dogfight were to occur, you couldn't be prosecuted on that. But if you were an active participant, knowingly involved in the event, yes. And that goes back really to a 1984 Georgia Supreme Court decision that said that being involved in these type of illegal activities as a spectator, you could also be prosecuted.